Oh, and welcome to the mixtapes. I'm your co-host Amber, joined by my lovely co-host Nikki. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Amber.
How are you? You good? I love the hair flip. Like, yep.
Hey, girl. I'm doing good. How
Good.
are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just got off of a nice 4-day weekend. Jumped right in, but I'm good.
It's
I
nice
do
you
feel
guys
rest.
got 4 days. We got three.
Wah, wah.
We're almost done with school.
Technically, I did a little bit of work at on Friday, but it didn't feel like an official day, so it's all good.
hmm
It was fun.
When is your last day of school?
June 4th. When's your last day?
It's June 6th. It's the Friday, whatever the Friday is. It's
Yeah.
graduation, the first Friday of June.
Okay. So yeah, like 2 days after us.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Oh my God, almost there. Almost
Almost.
there. Are you guys doing anything fun, like end of year stuff right now?
A lot of things going on. We have a talent show on Monday. We're doing like some fourth and fifth grade celebrations because our current fourth graders are going to middle school next year. Fifth grade is going to be part of the middle school. Like, it's exciting. We're doing field day is going to be pretty cool. I
Oh,
had all the kids
birthday.
tie dye shirts for their color team. It's going to be cute. So they all have like tie dye shirts that they made with their color team colors. It's gonna be cute. And then yeah, we're just doing all the things, assemblies and the fun stuff. What about y'all?
Yeah, same. Tomorrow I'm doing a holy event. We're gonna like throw the color around for Holi, the Festival of Colors. So, Holi is a major Hindu festival celebrated as the Festival of Colors, Love and Spring. It celebrates the eternal and divine love of the deities Radha and Krishna. And additionally, the day signifies the triumph of good over evil, and it commemorates the victory of good over evil. So that actually happened back in March, but our school is doing it now as like a combination of like Asian American Heritage Month and also just like spring. Like spring has actually happened now here. So that's happening this week. And then we've got graduation, we've got our moving up ceremony, we've got senior dinner. They just had prom over the weekend, which was so cute to see them all like dressed up.
Yeah, you have like a 6 to 12 school.
Yeah, we're 6 through 12.
Okay. So like graduation, not like
Mm-hmm.
elementary, middle school stuff.
No, like real graduation.
Like
And something I
legit like diplomas.
like legit diplomas, yeah. And something I really like about our school is like, and I believe it's a Quaker tradition, but it's definitely an us tradition, is that the students each give a speech at their graduation. So every single student gives a speech for about like 2 minutes or whatever, however long it is. And they, like, we don't have like a valedictorian, salutatorian, any of that. Each of them gives a speech. It was really cool.
Is it a small student body?
Yeah, like their
Seniors?
graduating class, I want to say, is like 34. So it's not a lot.
There's time for that because like some schools, if they have like 500 students
Like
graduating,
me, yeah.
you can't even do that. So that's why they probably do like salutatorian and valedictorian.
Mhm.
But I always feel like, isn't it like, no, like it's a little discouraging. I almost feel like they should like maybe do like a random selector, for like one of the speakers instead of just being like
Mhm.
the top of the class. Like, because I don't know, I'm just thinking about like me as a high school student. I was
Right.
definitely not valedictorian or salutatorian, but I definitely would have been honored to like give a speech about
Mhm.
my experiences. I know it doesn't necessarily have to be me. I just think that there could have been a lot of high schoolers that like really have some really prominent, powerful things to say, and it shouldn't be just because you're at the top of your
I agree, first of all. Second of all, I like cannot get comfortable, so I'm just gonna be moving around. For some reason, I like cannot get comfortable. I agree with you. The way that my high school did it is like a tryout for this commencement speaker. Like it was like open to anyone. Like two people
class.
did it. I remember two people did. I knew one of the guys. I was like friends with him, and I don't remember who he did it with, which is sad because that wasn't that long ago. But two people like tag teamed this speech together. Do you know what I mean? Like it
I
was
like that
cute.
idea of like auditioning, like because what if you weren't like the A plus plus student or whatever,
Right.
but you still were like an academic achiever. You still like maybe you were the student body president, or maybe you were captain of the football team. I don't know. I'm just giving examples. Because I just don't think that like the achievement part of it should be the only focus for determining if you should really be able to speak. And then if you audition, then the administration could listen to your speech and be like, okay, yeah, this is the vibe, or this is appropriate for a graduation speech. I just think that I'm pushing against the traditional system of education lately and questioning things and wondering, why is it this way? What does that mean? Can't we just do it a little different? Like, does it always have to be the same way all the time? That's all. Just questioning.
And it doesn't, and you should question everything. I used to have a sign in my classroom, my first year teaching that said, question everything. Like, question everything. You should. Like, and you're right. Like, I mean, the system sounded like a broken record, but the system was not built for us to succeed. So, of course, you're going to question why it exists. How many people did you have in your graduating class?
Fun fact, in my high school, it was the first graduating class. So I want to say there was about, I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe there was a handful of us. Like I probably knew most of them. It wasn't a big class. We were the first to graduate. It was a big high school today, but in 2001, it was brand new, had just opened, and then we were the first class to send through. So I want to say, literally, I knew all of them
Wow.
in my
See, like,
experience.
that's so
And I
cool.
feel like 150 is a lot. I might have to ask my friend. How many
Yeah,
people graduated?
150 is kind of a lot, but
It felt like a lot. Like I said, and when I say like, I knew all of them, like I'm, you know, older. And if I looked back at a yearbook or like anything, like there was like a high school Facebook page, I'm like, who are these folks? Like,
yeah.
I don't know these people. I don't know. I don't. I know that they've combined like people who have graduated within the last like, uh, 20-year window on this. So I'm like, obviously there's gonna be people I don't know, but even when it's like my class, I'm like, I don't know none of these folks. So I don't know.
Well, and I'm sure so many people are different too. Like, you're not the same as you were in high school, and
No, I feel like I
different
still look
names. And
like my 18-year-old self.
I got a message about your diary entry on Hinge.
Diary entry. What
Yeah.
did it say? What they
Someone
say?
was like, which is has been unintentional. I did not put that I was a podcast host in my Hinge so that we could get free publicity, but that is what it has turned into. So if any of my matches are listening, that wasn't the goal.
But thank you for listening.
But thanks for listening.
Glad you know that she
And someone said something and was like, "I loved your friend's like sex diary." About like liking white boys. And I was like, yep. I don't know what else to call it. Sex diary? I was like,
it was a sexuality scrapbook. It was about, and I don't even know why it was called the sexuality scrapbook because when I think about sexuality today, I don't think any of that, like the way that I put the scrapbook together was not showing up. It was like, what are your values? What are your beliefs? So I'm like, I guess that ties into like your sexuality to a certain extent, but I feel like it should have been more of like an identity scrapbook.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like values, beliefs, a religion. Um,
I think they try to do that in abstinence education. They try to remind you of your values and who you are as a person to try to get you to not have sex. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because then when you're like about to bone, you're thinking about how much you like value friendship. I don't know. Like,
parents and my awards at the
right.
school.
Like it's almost like they like equate it as like doing drugs, like remember your values. Dare.
Well, it's just, like I've been learning all this stuff recently about like Dare and like the Dare program came to my school, and that was like had some insidious intentions behind it. And I was like, I remember sitting up in there as a fifth grader, like, I will not do drugs.
Can I tell you something? Guess who gave the dare speech at their
You,
school? I did.
I
Yes,
love
I
it.
did. And that's hilarious if you know anything about me. That I gave the dare speech.
That's why I'm cracking up.
I got a little teddy bear with a dare t-shirt on it as a gift. And I just talked about how much I need, what, I really should text my parents and see if they have it. I bet they kept it. My little
The
Remy
little
or whatever.
speech,
But I like
yes.
gave a whole speech about how like I was never gonna do drugs and like drugs ruin people, all this stuff. And it's like, what? Like,
They
yeah.
did drugs. But you know what? I read or saw recently, it was, like, how they try to teach us that, like, weed was a gateway drug,
Hmm?
but somebody said, like, in their, like, explanation of, like, just trying to dissect DARE, they were like, "No, trauma is a gateway drug." It's trauma. It's and no, they never presented it like that to kids when they were talking about DARE. It was never like your life experiences, you're gonna try to kinda, like, numb those things, like, that's when drugs are usually introduced or, like, social pressures or like not that I'm, like, anti, whatever people need to do, like, whatever, especially when it comes to marijuana, but I love that it was like, "No, it wasn't a gateway drug to other drugs. I didn't do other drugs, like, or stronger drugs." It was just people are gonna be more susceptible to doing it if they have, like, traumatic
Hmm.
experiences in their life, and which is gonna be, like, majority of the population because at some point in our lives, we all, like, whether it's at school, whether it's at home, or just out in the world, we're gonna experience something that has had like, a really big impact on us to the point where we wanna block it out or not think about it, and unless we have, like, the tools for coping,
Hmm.
we're always people are gonna turn to drugs and, like, Big Barb and, like, I can get into a whole thing, but, like,
Yeah, there's
how
more
are they
people.
always numb our, like, conditions with over-the-counter drugs or prescription drugs. It's all trying to mask symptoms of, like, things that you're actually really dealing with. I just feel like don't it's a little hypocritical to say, "Don't do drugs," and then I'll get a prescription like, not me, but, like, somebody will get a prescription for, like, Xanax or, like you know what I mean? But then you're telling kids not to do drugs. Like, it's so or
Yeah.
Ritalin or Adderall, and I know that we need those things, like, sometimes for our brain, but some drugs are not like, just because the doctor prescribed it or you got it from, like, a dispensary does not mean
Yeah, I
I don't know. Maybe edit
whole
that
that
out.
whole conversation, like, around, like, first of all, like, I don't consider weed to be a drug.
I don't either.
I don't consider that to be a drug. What pisses me off about, like, our culture is, like, within the United States of America or whatever, I always feel like I have to say that for some reason, but because that's what we're talking about, is, like, alcohol is, like, so glorified and, like, normalized, and it's like, why is it socially acceptable at a work gathering to have alcohol, but not weed? And like, and I'm talking especially in places where it's legal, obviously. Like, I'm not talking about in states where it's still illegal, which is crazy. Like, in general, that there's still
Because
places that
once upon a time,
weed
alcohol
is
was
not
illegal.
legal. But it's like, think about like what alcohol does, first of all, to you when you drink it. Think about what weed does to you when you ingest it or smoke it or whatever. Two totally different experiences. And let me talk in the I here. Alcohol, like, makes me sick. It makes me do and say things I regret. It makes me lose control of my body and my words and my brain. And it could kill me if I did something when I was in that state. Weed, it's just like, I just feel good. Like, I feel enhanced. I feel comfortable. I feel like hungry. Or, I like to look at things when I'm like ingesting marijuana legally. For the record, like I get creative. I like to paint, to draw, to color. I use it to go to sleep. Like, and so it's just like, how are those two things? One is way better than the other. And I support sober lifestyles. So, like, if that's a conversation too, like, yeah, I know it's better to be sober than just to do either. But if we're talking about, like, if you're gonna do something, like, weed is so much better in substances than alcohol, and for your body too, and your health. Like, weed is dangerous for your health because smoking is bad for your body, and you can create like liver and kidney conditions if you're using edibles too much. I mean, alcohol will give you death. Like, you can literally drink yourself to death.
I've heard of and there's no speaking an I, like, I've heard of way more accidents caused by being under the influence of alcohol than I have being under the influence
Yeah.
of weed. Now, there are other drugs that you can be under the influence of that are just as bad and dangerous. That drugs, when we're saying alcohol versus, like, maybe actual, like, street drugs, I feel like there's a category of certain, I don't wanna call it drugs, like, certain, like
Substances?
yeah, substances that are used for medicinal purposes. Like, I truly believe in people being able to have access to marijuana for, like, treatment of pain and cancer, or focus around, like, symptoms of, like, from ADHD or ADD, um, like, giving you a balance, like, I don't know. I think that marijuana is used for so many purposes other than just, like, this is a social thing and I'm gonna, like, get like, there's actual proof of how it
Mhm.
actually gets others. So, I don't know, I'm on the same page as you, like, I don't really classify it. Yeah. I've literally been like, "I wanna stop drinking because 'cause I'm miserable," versus, "I'm gonna stop doing anything
Yes.
else." I don't know, there's just a difference. Like,
Yeah, it was such a difference. And it just it really bothers me. And I think because of like personal experience with like my parent who is in recovery, right? Like one of my parents. And like that whole like her attitude towards weed, like and I don't want to put my parents' business out there, but like the way that my mom has like acted about weed is crazy because she's a recovering alcoholic. So girly pop.
you know, need to choose your battles
You
type.
know, like, but it's like she like I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't know, but anyway, let's hear something good.
It's my youngest son's 3rd birthday on Saturday. Yeah, baby. Gonna be 3, I'm just so oh, no, it's something good. We're going camping again,
Fun.
at the end of April, so we're going back camping, so I'm really looking forward to that. We After our first camping trip, I feel like we learned some valuable lessons on, like, packing up the car and getting ready. Not val When I say valuable, it wasn't like it was, like, a traumatic experience, it was just, like, things that we would do smarter
Hmm.
next time to make our lives easier.
Hmm.
So, I'm looking forward to just, like, getting things together. We got, like, these little packing cubes for all their clothes, and I'm just gonna be
Cute.
more intentional, but I think I don't feel stressed about going anywhere. Like, I'm not, like, worried, like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna forget everything," like the first round. Now I'm like, "Oh, no, I know where everything is. I know where I'm gonna put it. I have a plan." And I'm just looking forward to, like, going there and sitting by the water and just relaxing.
That sounds so lovely. Are you gonna go back to the same campsite?
No, we're going somewhere new, we've never been. It's in, a place called Cotopaxi, Colorado. Yeah. So, it's new, it's by the river, like, the camping site, like, you cross over, like, a little bridge to get to it. And, on the way, we talked about, like, stopping at, like, some places that I used to go to as a child, like, Laurel Gorge, or, like, seeing, like, the Buffalo Bill, like, Western
Yeah.
show. And I don't even know, like, I have to look and see if they still do this, but, like, I remember doing that, like, every summer as a kid, so I just am like, "Oh, I get to, like, recreate some things that I used to do, with my family when we would go camping or go out of town."
Yeah,
Um, like, some good memory stuff for my kiddos.
for sure.
Uh, I'm looking forward to that. What's your something good?
That sounds lovely. I'm just like thinking and dreaming of like being back in Colorado. I never thought I'd say that. But just to like be with the mountain, like I'm picturing like the view. I used to always really love, and I don't know the name of it, but you know when you're driving to Breckenridge and there's like that pull off, it's like an overlook and a bathroom and stuff like that. Loveland, I want to say Loveland Pass.
Are you sure it's Loveland? Or are you thinking it's the Sapphire Overlook?
It's the Sapphire Overlook because it's where you got married.
I was like, yeah, I didn't know that pass.
Yeah, I actually now looking back, we've had this conversation like 20 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
It's where you got married. I love that spot. And I was just like closing my eyes and picturing being there because it's so beautiful. My something good is that I saw Beyonce, the clothes I rock in my body. And that was just amazing. She was, oh, like I feel like because I have a headache, I can't even do her justice right now. But like she was incredible.
I believe it.
First of all, Diva. That was like I was like she has to play Diva. I
First,
loved that song when I was a kid, and she played it. And what other ones was If I Was a Boy? She did that. And
that is my song.
that is that's so good. Oh yeah, I sent you that one, I think.
Yes,
And
when
like,
you said that to me, I was like, "Oh, this one." And then I put it on my playlist because I have been making, like, a "You Got This" playlist,
oh,
that
cute.
I play every morning because you sent me that video. So, shout out to your Beyonce.
Wait, what's on the You Got This playlist? Because I want to compare our morning. I have a morning playlist too. I want to compare them. And I added one to it at the show, which is a song from Renaissance. So I didn't really listen to Renaissance.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Okay.
there's a couple of songs I know, like "You Won't Break My Soul" or whatever. But there was one that she performed called "Cozy." It's so good. It's like I'm comfortable in my skin. It's flawless of who I am. Cozy.
I need to put that on my list.
Cozy. Yeah, I'm actually gonna send that to you right now. Or wait, I guess you can look it up. Cozy by Beyonce. Like, hang on, I'm gonna play it. Hopefully this doesn't get copyrighted. Let's skip it to the choir. Or to the chorus.
I don't think she has a song I don't like.
Right?
I like that.
You would like it too. There's this whole thing where it's like beige, white, like purple beige, but it's like, no, bitch, I'm black. You would love this song.
Okay.
It's really good.
I'm gonna check it. I put it on my
So,
you got this playlist.
yeah, what's on the You Got This playlist?
I actually have like 4 Beyonce songs in my you got this playlist. So I mean this I just started this playlist.
Okay.
It's new. I have like songs and I have like a workout playlist, like songs
Hmm.
I like to listen to like a lot of like New Orleans like bounce music when I'm working out because it just like gets me going. But then I have like a wedding, like I made a playlist for like our wedding. Like, I have like and I listen to those songs sometimes when I'm like, oh, I'm just feel love. But my You Got List playlist has Lullaby by Tasha. It's literally a song for black women. It's about like how you can save your magic, you don't have to share with anybody else. And it's just like I love you and good night. And it's just like makes me cry. So that's my first song on there. Then I have Rise Up by Audra Day.
Love that.
When I tell you when Kamala Harris lost the election, I listened to that song every morning for like a week and I wore all black to work. Like I was in mourning.
Aw.
It wasn't just about like, didn't get the presidency. It was like, wow, America really doesn't like or want to see women succeed, and then they don't want to see women of color. And it like was like my realization. I went into like a mourning period,
Yeah.
serious grief about it. So that's what song I love that song. Anyway, I put You Gotta Be by Desiree.
I don't know that song.
I think I listened to it. My first time listening to it, you probably have heard it. I was in 7th grade and we had a substitute teacher, long term sub. A shout out to Miss Zelke. I'm sure she's like, probably not even listening to this. I will shout her out. She was so cool to me and she played the song for us and I've loved it ever since.
Okay, I put it on me.
I have Wildfires by Salt. I have Queen by Janelle Monáe and Erica Badu. I don't know why this is on here, but I love this song and it just makes me like vibe. As Redbone by Childish Gambino.
That's a great song.
Don't Touch My Hair by Solange.
Love.
Good as Hell by Lizzo. And then here are my Beyonce songs. So Blackbird,
Mm-hmm.
If I Were a Boy, Run the World, and Now Cozy.
Cozy.
And now I'm looking at my list like, what else do I need to put on here? Because I know there's a couple of Beyonce songs that I'm like,
I have one on my playlist of hers I listen to every day. It's called Just for Fun. That's off of Cowboy Carter, but that's my favorite Beyonce song. So I do have that one on my playlist. But she's actually
okay. Who else is on your playlist? Who are some good
I
ones?
just love your Black Girl Magic playlist. That's what I would call
It
it.
is. It is my Black Girl
It's
Magic
cute.
playlist.
It's cute.
I need it's part of my my rest plan is to like get my mind right in the beginning of the day, like when I'm driving into work, like instead of filling it with other stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this when I need a boost, when I need to just like reset and also, what I mean, something extra
Yeah.
that I can only give myself.
I love that. That's such a great thing to have in your repertoire. My playlist is a little bit longer. I feel like it's an hour and 24 minutes. But I listen to it every morning. I usually start it when I get in the shower, and then I kind of like listen to it throughout the day. But I have lots of Londrell on there, who you know I love. Londrell is my favorite artist. He's a spiritual rapper. So I have You Are Enough, which is his meditation, which just tells you that you're enough. Gratitude, which has always been like that's the pillar song for me. It always comes on my Spotify Wrapped, but it's gratitude affirmations, but it's like a song.
One of this before when we lived, or not when we lived, when we when we were roommates for
Yeah.
that weekend.
Yeah, yeah. And I forced you to listen to this exact playlist, probably.
Oh,
You like it?
you were like sticking to your routine. You were like, this is how I vibe every day. And I love that. And it's been really inspiring for me. So I just want to give you a little shout out. So there's been a couple of things that you've done that you just modeled. It wasn't like you were like, do this. It was just like, this is what I do. And I was like, that is a really good point. So I got that from you. Good
Thank
morning.
you. I love that. As a woman with ADHD who was diagnosed so late in life, routine is such a thing. I have to keep up with my routines. But thank you. What else is on here? Conceited by SZA. I don't like
Yes.
nobody. I don't feel guilty about it. I have that on there. Just for Fun by Beyonce. That song like got me through like fucking hell. So I love that song. Always in Alignment by Free Soul, who's like another one of those spiritual guys. And then I have some Mantra Over Mind is a Hari Krishna. I'm so like random when I like go through this. I'm like, who am I? It's a Hari Krishna chant by Radhika Das, and then Landrell raps over it. Free Mind by Thames. Take Up Space Sis by Tony Jones. I think I've played that one for you before, but it's like she has like an album of like black girl affirmations. I Am Safe by Maestra. So me and my sister really like this artist called Maestra. She actually introduced me to her on her birthing playlist. Given the fact that we were in the hospital for like 4 days and this playlist was on repeat, I was like, who the fuck is this person? I actually like her. And so now like all the songs on my sister's birthing playlist are on my morning playlist.
Extra.
Fertile Soil, which is Free Soul and Landrell together. Then I have a song called Love by Face Soul. These are like the most random artists. I have another Maestro song, Born for This and Joyful Man. And then I have I Am Loving Awareness by Ram Dass and Krishna Das. It's like a 10-minute long. I am loving awareness. He just keeps saying that for 10 minutes. Like, this is the shit that I listen to.
I like it, Nikki.
Um,
Don't justify it.
And then I have another chant, another Hindu chant, and I'm not Hindu. I don't know where I get this shit from. Called Ram Sita Ram, and that's Radhika Das, and it's a chant to like channel a higher form of love. Like so, it's like Ram Sita Ram is like a chant about this like they're like divine couple in like the Hindu faith, and I don't know their names. But the divine couple, it's supposed to like embody like the divine masculine, divine feminine. So I chant that as like a manifester every morning. And then this is a long playlist. My Turn by SZA.
Yes.
Love Goddess by Maija. That's a new song that I've heard and I love it. But it's all about like being proud of being vulnerable and sensitive and like feminine, which I love. And then God is Good by Landrell. And then I just added Cozy.
That's right, because you went to the concert. So, Love Goddess is by Maisha.
It's by Miajah. And that's a really, really cute, it's a really beautiful song. It's like it's like it's just beautiful. She has like a lot of kind of like spiritual music, but Butterfly is another one she sings. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I feel like yours is like a pump up. Mine is kind of like a slow down, but they
Yeah.
both have the same like theory, which is that it makes us feel like empowered, right?
Yes. My pump up. I mean, sometimes I do listen to like my workout playlist when I just need to be like, okay, here we go. And it's not all like New Orleans bounce music. It's just like stuff that I like to dance to and like peps me up. Everything has like a purpose, but I think both of our playlists that we have, you're right. Like it's focusing on just how are we going to lift our minds and our spirits for the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
and like what do we need? It's like what words do I need to hear? What music do I need to hear? It's going to be good for my soul today.
What's your love language?
Words of
It is words of
affirmation.
affirmation. So that's like a way that you can provide that to yourself, like you said in your rest plan. Like that's how you're providing that to yourself by listening to the affirmations. That's beautiful.
And then, like, obviously, my son rides to work with me, so he gets to hear all these songs too, and I love it. Yeah. Sometimes I cry when I listen to them. It's mostly when I'm having a rough day, and so one time he was like, "Are you crying?" I was like, "Yeah, this time makes me feel a little sad." But I was like, "But it's good. It's good to sometimes just let all your feelings out before you start the day." You know,
That's so affirming to like teach him how to be vulnerable and how to cry and like it's okay to cry when you feel like here's something sad or like here's something that like touch.
like not just like when I cry, but just in general. He's always wondering how I am in the morning because in the mornings it's like my roughest time for like my mental state. So he's always like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm good. I'm good."
I hope that this playlist, like listening to that every day, helps mornings be more magical for you.
Yeah, it is. It is helping. It's only been like a week or so, maybe two.
Yeah.
and I'm just getting it kicked off. So it'll adjust based on what I need.
Right. And like crying, back to crying. Crying is such a like a revolutionary practice too. It's interesting because I think a lot about like so I don't even know how to like string this into a cohesive thought that will make sense. So I might just bounce around for a little bit. But when was the last time you really cried? And do you feel
Like
like you cry like
seriously,
typically, like regularly? Okay. Because I used to cry like every day for like years when I was like going through my situation.
yeah.
And since then, so it's been a year now officially since my breakup, and I can't cry. Like I've cried like twice.
You're like all cracked.
I cried the other day. I was like just so I don't even there wasn't even anything going on. I was just like hormonal. Like I had just gotten my period. I was like really upset. Like I don't even remember what it was. It was something really weird. Like I couldn't get chocolate. It was like so bizarre. Like and I was like hysterically crying, but it felt so good. Like and people have been telling me that for like the past year, like just cry it out. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain, but like something has changed in my like brain chemistry and I can't cry. And I would say that like before I went through what I went through, I was like a regular crier. Like
Yeah.
I would say I cried a normal amount, maybe once a month or something. I don't know. I wouldn't say I cried a lot, but I did cry and I was okay crying. And then it's like all of a sudden I cannot cry. Is that
I
weird?
don't think it's that you cannot cry. I think because I know your situation, and I think that now that you're not in that situation, you don't your I want to say your nervous system doesn't like feel that like state of being where it's like you were constantly in a state of stress, worry, hypervigilance. That was abusive. It was emotionally, mentally abusive.
Yeah.
Um, I when I was, in some situations prior, in my lifetime, that's how when I knew it wasn't good for me because I look back at it, I was like, oh, like I shouldn't have felt that way. No one that like truly is for you and loves you is not going to like be okay with you crying every day.
Right?
They see you doing that, they're gonna know that there's something off with you. And if they truly are invested in you and care about you, crying every day is a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to
Yeah.
not even have
Yeah. For people who don't know, we don't need to go too much into it, but I am starting to become more comfortable talking about it. But my previous serious partnership was an abusive relationship for a long time. And it's been a year since I got out of that, thank God. But yeah, that was just context. But it's so crazy when you look back on abusive situations and you're like, wait, what? Like he used to make fun of me for and it's like, bruh, like okay. Like I'm crying because of you, but so it's just interesting. Like, but I bring that up to say that I think crying is so healthy and normal and cool, and like we should all be doing it. And there's something that I'm like unable to access right now. I feel like I'm becoming more avoidant than I have been in the past.
okay. Well, maybe you just haven't had anything to really cry about, and
True.
maybe you're was just healing itself. You know what I mean? And you weren't in that state. And I bet you if you went to something like that again or something similar,
Hmm.
and you start pay attention to those symptoms of like, oh, am I like really sad all the time? Am I crying all the time? That's going to be your indicator. This is not for me. Anytime that you're in a romantic relationship and you're crying, it should be because you are like overwhelmed with joy. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you're
Yeah.
gonna get arguments and disagreements and be emotional and, passionate about those things. That's normal, but if you're crying every single day, like, that's a problem.
Hmm.
You're like, I know. We've had to talk about this person before. I've been in some really awful. I was in a relationship one time. I was thinking, I was like, was I ever in like in the past like a good relationship? I was thinking about this the other day. I was in a relationship with a guy. Had a child from another relationship. His child was the same age as mine at the time. And so we were like raising them together while we were together. And I didn't have like the other parent drama that he did. Does that make sense? So, and I didn't realize how much it was stressing me out, that drama, but like I was losing my hair, like it was like falling
Oh my
out.
god.
My cycle was like way off. Like it would be like extremely late or last forever. I like was so like bloated. Like I can tell when I'm stressed when I get like really bloated in my face.
Mhm.
I'll see myself and I'm like, what is going on? But it's like bloat. Just because I'm so stressed out. Like that's where I can't really. It's just like makes my face blow up. But I was so bloated. Like I look at old pictures of myself and I was like, who is that? Like literally hair was falling out
Wow.
back and I was like, what was and it wasn't he wasn't doing anything to me. It was the stress of having to deal with the other parent who was not okay with him being in a relationship. And then like I would talk to his mom and his sisters, or especially his mom, on the phone like every Sunday for like 3 hours. And
Oh
she
my
would
god.
just like complain about the mom of of his daughter. That was like stressing me
Yeah.
out with her every week. And it was just, and then his, like I said, the mom would be like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this. And it would just like weigh on me. Oh my gosh, that was like a not a healthy situation for me to be in. And like, like I said, I'm not blaming him. I'm just that whole environment was not healthy.
And I'm sorry that you like went through that. And it's crazy how our bodies respond to trauma. Like your hair was falling out. And yeah, I get bloated too, like everywhere.
You just swell up like I guess my ankles swell, my feet, my hands swell. The other day when I was like really, because like, I've been going through a lot of stuff, just in stress in life. Like my ring, which is like I can take it on and off like nothing, was like cutting off my circulation.
Oh my
My
god.
hand. I was like, okay, that's. I feel like I'm really glad that my body is like telling me these things that I probably ignored, and so like crying is probably
Mm,
something that you for a long time. But now I think like note that like if my hair starts falling out, then I'm like something is going on
yeah.
in my that I need to like be aware of. If I'm bloated, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
that makes sense because I was pretty stressed out for the last couple of months, and then like I've definitely been dealing with like a lot of like racial battle fatigue. Really trying to like overcome that, but the stress levels. But that's why I was crying the other day because it was just like I literally remember saying like I'm miserable, but I'm not like miserable in my life. I was just miserable in the moment.
Mm.
I like really let that cry out. Like I was like kind of crying, like covering my face crying. And then like once I like talked it out and like moved through it, I felt 100 times better. So I knew that that's just what I needed.
I love that you said I wasn't miserable in my life. I was miserable in the that's sticking with me. I was miserable in the moment. I wasn't miserable.
Because like if you're crying every day, we'll bring it back to you. Like, were you miserable in your life or were you
I was miserable in my life.
miserable in your life because you were not in a healthy relationship?
Yeah. Well, I had no out. That was like the worst two. I mean, it was 3 years, but it was like two that were extra awful. And because it's like I hated my job and I was in an abusive relationship. So it was like I was in an abusive work environment. I was like there was no out. Like it was home and work. You know what I mean? But on the racial battle fatigue part, like what's I mean, I kind of know what's going on, but do you want to talk about that here in this space? Like what you're experiencing?
I think a little bit about what I'm experiencing is I'm responding to a little bit of everything that I'm seeing, that I'm hearing. I want to name that, and I think before we got on, we were like, we should talk about like our Instagram. Like, I feel like that's some points of social media are toxic for me. Like, and I know some people can vibe with it, but other parts of it for me feel really toxic. And I know most people are like, oh, those are like trolls and don't like, engage or like they don't mean well, but it's not even like towards me. It's like how other people are treated on social media when like people of color are just like, hey, like I want to share this. And the comments that are so ignorant, ugly, and nasty. I remember when I first like got like so TikTok or Instagram and like the comments were like the best part because it would be so funny. And then I think for me, like one part of the fatigue is just constantly feeling like I have to like justify and explain. And so another thing, like speaking of social media, is Instagram specifically. I'm in like this like, and I feel like I said this before in our podcast. I think last episode, like currently in like a awakening. I feel like it just feels like I've always been like aware of who I am. I've always been aware of like, okay, I'm a black woman. Like my mom made sure of that. I'm gonna give her a shout out for that because like she did make sure that we knew who we were.
Mhm.
But reading and seeing like movies about the black experience, I was like terrified of it. And I was like, well, that's not how my life is. Like, I'm not like my life isn't segregation. So like I was like trying to separate from that stuff. And so I think in that separation and growing up in, predominantly white spaces, I censored whiteness and I kept like tucking it away. And so I went to like a historically black college, um, and I still like tucked it away, And I guess like in the recent years of, just being like, okay, I'm gonna like start embracing this and like I'm starting to realize more and more stuff. But as I realize more about who I am, the more I realize that it is really hard to be a black woman in America, but it's also really like empowering and beautiful. Like there's like this mixture, but it's having to realize that, oh, like in a work environment, you're always going to be second guessed and you're always going to be, like questioned. Are you really qualified for this? There's always going to be something in the back of my mind that's like in any position. It doesn't matter which position I'm in, where if I move up in leadership, like I I feel like I have to prove something like, "I have 2 degrees, 2.5 degrees," you know what I mean? Like, why do I
Mhm.
feel like I have to do that when I don't hear, like, maybe white men or white women
Mhm.
having to constantly say, like, "I have 16 years of experience in education. I have 3 children. I haven't" like, I know what I'm doing, but for people to constantly question you is exhausting. Or they see you immediately and they don't think that you're qualified, or they just make assumptions and they're not gonna say it out loud. It's just like their interactions with you is exhausting. That's what I mean by the racial battle fatigue. And with my awakening, I've been seeing it more. And so then I also look back on my previous experiences and I'm like, that was, oh, that's what that was. You know what I mean? And so like having to like come to terms with all of that is overwhelming. Actually had a conversation with my husband the other day about it and how I was like, I think I started off with like, I don't want to celebrate 4th of July. And he was like, well, don't ask me to go see fireworks or something like that. And I was like, wait, hold on. Because I want to see fireworks. Like that was my like, hold on. So then I was like, okay. And he made a good point about like how we were talking about it. And I was just like telling him about like my awakening and like the things that I'm realizing more and more. And like how we want to continue to like talk to our own kids about how they're going to show up. And we talked about like we just got into like all kinds of conversations, and it felt so good to be like, this is what I'm experiencing. I know you're not going to ever truly understand, but I really appreciated him just like listening and like understanding, like, okay, like this is how you're navigating the world. And it was like me being able to finally say, like, I know when we met 7 years ago, I was not like Black power, but I am now, and you're gonna have to jump on this string with me. And you know what I mean? And I don't know, that also feels really good.
Yeah.
So I think that's what like how I'm like trying to overcome this fatigue is like instead of going through it by myself, I'm talking through it. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this situation just happened and you know, it's been really helpful for him, like even with like things that I've experienced outside of home for him to be like, "Oh, that's because you're Black," or "Is that why this is happening?" I'm like, "Yes, like, thank you for seeing that." No, it's just yeah. Like, I don't feel as weighed down knowing that I can, like, talk to him more. But it's like I said, I know that he won't really truly understand, and he named that, like, we both named it. I was like, your white privilege is never gonna let you truly understand where I'm coming from." But, just knowing that you're gonna listen and try to understand is those I
And
just feel like I'm that, but
Yeah. No, but I really love it actually. I feel like it's like kind of a hope in a hard place for you right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have this partner who's willing to support you through this process, and that's beautiful. You deserve that. And I feel like that's, I mean, I don't know anything about marriage. I've never been married, but from what I can tell, that sounds like that's the way it's supposed to be is you guys are going to grow and change as people over you've been together for 7 years. You're going to be totally different in the next 7 years. And you have to be able to do what you guys are doing. Talk about it, be open to the change, support each other, and um I feel like for, the purpose of our podcast, the mixtapes, what your husband is doing is exactly how a white partner should act to a partner of color, which is just acknowledging that they're not going to understand and being there to listen and bounce ideas off of and hold space and provide love and support. And that's what he's doing. So that's great.
It is great, and I don't want to make it seem like everything is all like crystal beautiful every day. Like marriage, like I saw something today that was like marriage is hard, and nobody really talks about what they mean by that. But it means like truly making an effort, even when you're dealing with your own bullshit,
Mhm.
drama, to like still try to be there for someone else, even when you don't even know if you could show up for yourself. Like, girl, like I was just talking to my friend the other day. I was like, "Are you even married if you don't like Google like should I get a divorce?"
Mm,
Like on occasion, like you will. That is reality. Like
for
I
sure.
want people to know that. And then I think being in like an interracial marriage has like a different set of challenges because for me and my husband, like we are dealing with like both of our families. We're the oldest children, and oldest children usually are like the black sheep in the family
Mhm.
sometimes. And so
Mhm.
we are both like he's over here like trying to stand up for himself with his family, and I'm over here trying to stand up for myself with my
Right.
family. And it feels at the same time there's some really like underlying race stuff going on as well, without like putting people on blast, but it's there are some things. And so I think what has been helpful for me recently, having dealt with both of those things on both sides of our family, is that like he and I are on the same page. That makes a huge difference. And I think that's what goes a long way in an interracial marriage, because you're going to have like family members that don't approve of your relationship. Yeah, that's a potential. And so, like, if y'all can't talk about, racial issues as a couple, and you can't like say, this is how this made me feel, this is how this
Right.
is impacting me, um, then it's not going to work.
I agree.
When people from two different races come together, they need to be on the same page with each other when it comes to racial injustice, or like what are our values, what are our beliefs. And then you bring kids into the picture, and I'm like, our kids are gonna present. I like literally was like, our kids are gonna present as black boys. Like, yes, they are biracial, but they're gonna present off top. Like, I was like, if they're driving down the road, a cop pulls them over, they're gonna present as black boys. How are
Right.
we going to,
Right.
like we need them to know that. And I need them to know it. And I think we talked about this on podcast before, but I was like, I need them to hear it from you too, not just me.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many biracial children who live in families where their parents either don't talk about it at all or it's only the black or brown parent that does. You know what I mean? It's rare that there's a white parent, and I'm talking specifically within one person of color and one white person. I think it's different when it's like a black person and an Asian person or a Hispanic, like that's a little bit different. But when it's one white parent and one non-white parent, I feel like it typically falls into those two categories. Category one being like we don't talk about it at all, like we don't see color, we don't talk about race, or which I know multiple people who fall in that category. Or it's whatever person is not white is the person that's taking the brunt of that work to educate their children on what it means to be black or brown, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that's why I wanted to point out that like I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago. When
Yeah.
I met him, I was like, oh yeah, I don't talk about race. And I was like totally okay with that not being a topic of conversation. Like I was like, obviously, like we both knew I was like this was an interracial relationship. It's not like we were like
Yeah.
he never said I don't see color. Like he knew I was a woman of color. We talked with that conversation like early on in our relationship, because we had kids early on in our relationship. I mean, we have an almost 6-year old, so there's a little context there. We talked about like how are we going to talk to them, and he was like, well, I just want to raise good people. And like, do we have to talk about it all the time? And that when I was centering whiteness, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. We don't have to talk about it. And more, I, you know, try to gain this understanding.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not that same person that you met 7 years ago. I do want to actually talk about it, and I want both of us to talk about it with our kids. And that went a long way with me. And he was like, okay, like I'm okay with that.
And how beautiful for him to change in that way. You know what I mean? That's just another positive sign that you guys should be together. His ability to grow and evolve too. And it's just unrealistic in today's society to, and throughout the course of history, it's been unrealistic. But I do dream of a day where we don't have to talk about it all the time. You know,
Yeah, I
like
mean, it gets exhausting. I'm sure he's just as exhausted. He's seeing the news as I am, or hearing stories as I am. Like, but I'm like, the only difference between us is that I don't get to choose to, not show up that way. Even if I don't want to talk about it, I'm still going to be a Black woman. So,
we're still going to experience it regardless of.
how are we going to navigate? You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm not going to just pretend that
Yeah.
things aren't happening and that this is how I'm navigating the world. Am I going to let it consume me anymore? No, I can't because I still have to be present. I'm still a wife. I'm still a mother. I'm still, a school leader. Like, I have a, so, like, am I working on not letting it consume me? Absolutely. Is it going to still bother me when things come up? How am I going to like move through it? Is what I'm trying to focus on.
I love that. But I feel like that's going to lead to our intention for the week. What is your intention for the week?
My intention for the week is to pause, take deep breaths, and just be in the moment and realize that everybody's emergency or urgency, and I want to keep reminding myself of this all the time, especially in the position I'm in, is not my emergency,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be okay. I want to like be more intentional about how I handle things that feel like a crisis or bigger than they really are. I'm just gonna take a deep breath and all right, we got this. It'll be okay. That's my intention. What about you?
That's a beautiful
Hopefully
one.
get rid of this headache.
Yeah, this headache is really kind of screwing me up right now. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I can't even think. I'm like, what is my life intention? I don't know. Let me think of one. My intention. Oh, this weekend I'm going kayaking with my family. And I've actually never been. I went kayaking one time. It was in Florida when I was in college with my one of my best friends. We went to what's it called? Orlando, and we went kayaking there. And there was actually an alligator. Just kidding.
Not scary at all.
But that was the last time I went kayaking. So I haven't been since 2015. I want to say it was 2016. Almost 10 years. But my family, I guess during COVID, all picked up kayaking. Like my tio and like three of my tias and my cousin and his partner, like they all just picked up on kayaking. So I was like, can someone teach me? And they were like, yeah. So we're going to the lake and we're going kayaking this weekend.
I love it. Yay, we're both in white water. There we go.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to add something really quick as far as for I hope that this will help with others that are carrying maybe some heavy load. I think I want to add that I want to like release or take off. I mean, when I say like that's what I meant by like the urgency of others and their problems. Like I don't want to carry everybody's issues or concerns. I want things to roll off my shoulders. And that's what I mean by like take a deep breath. I don't want to carry it. I don't, it's not for me. Black women do not have to save the world. So I will hear what people have to say, but I'm not going to carry it on my shoulders. Hopefully that releases some of our listeners who are carrying something. Let it go because it doesn't belong to you.
Amen. Well, I love that intention. I love you dearly. To our listeners, we love you. We are the Mixtapes Podcast. We are really working on growing our following. So, like, follow, subscribe. We do have a great amount of views, and I'm so proud of that. So, thank you for listening to us and watching us. And if you or anyone you know would like to come on to our podcast and talk about their experiences being biracial or being in an interracial relationship or marriage, parenting, mixed race babies, transracial adoption, social justice, racism, all the isms, pretty much. I mean, we're pretty open to a lot of things. Check out the Calendly link in our show notes and sign up to be a guest. But we love doing this. And I mean, I feel like we're coming up on how many months now, Amber? February. 5. Yeah. I think we're coming up on 4 months. Yeah. I can't do math. But we started on Valentine's Day. This will be our 11th episode when it comes out. So I'm proud of that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, y'all, but for real, please follow us or engage, and we'll make some more TikToks because I feel like that's the way we're gonna move our direction. More,
We're
we'll
trying.
get more love on TikTok than we do on Instagram.
Yeah. And like social media is so, neither of us are really big into it and we're not trying to be influencers. So it's kind of hard, but we do believe in what we're doing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. And know that you are loved and that you belong in every space that you walk into.